Hello, welcome back to another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. This is a very special one. This is Game 1 of the GameNight.net Fantasy Battle Tournament. We're playing ETC rules, and I'll go over my list in much greater depth, etc., and kind of give you a presentation of the field and how things went in either a summary or an overview report. Anyhow, so this is Game 1. I'm playing against Beastmen. And there are 3 markers in the middle. They have scattered, luckily 2 towards me, and they represent objectives. So those are the main objectives, that and kill or survive with your most expensive unit. So from my right, I have 12 Dryads with my Branch Wraith, my Glade Guard Scout, another 12 Dryads, 6 Treekin, 2 Tree Men, one of which is Tree Man Ancient, my General, 5 Glade Riders, an Eagle. On top of the hill, I have my kind of bunker unit, which is 14 Glade Guard, my BSB, who's not in there yet, but then also my level 4. On the far side, I have my Way Watchers and my Eagle. I did not place any as scouts. On the opposite side of the table, my opponent Josh, who was a great person to play against. Good opponent, good player, and just a lot of fun. We had a really great time. Has his epic herdstone here, which is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it's so cool. You had to give him props for that. So he's got several little level 1s stuck behind there. He's got a bunch of harpies, a razor gore on his left, my right. Big unit of gore, I think, or bestigores. I can't really remember. They might both be bestigores, but his general's in the middle unit, which is a kind of a killy little guy, not too crazy. 5 skirmishers out in front, another unit of gore, a big horde of gore, with his BSB, give them +1 strength, and his level 4 Bray Shaman, pretty badass guy. 2 more razor gore, and in the far corner, another unit of harpies. We did not do any vanguard moves this turn. And just set up here, ready to go. And you'll see in a sec he's got a unit of ambushers off to the side. My goal here is just take out his chaff, try to set up, matchups where they benefit me, and then get my Treekin and my Tree Men. Excuse me, my Treekin and my Tree Men into these bigger units. I think that's going to be the best thing. There's his unit of gore, ambushers in the back. Yeah, it's 25 of them or something. Not the scariest thing in the world, but not to be laughed at. Of course, he gets them to come in the first turn, and they come in on his left flank, and so he puts them all the way here behind my Dryads. As with DTC rules, all hills and impassable terrain are infinitely high, so even if you can see with true line of sight, we're playing what you cannot see. Cover if you're shooting through you can shoot through any unit, but you get -2. And all force and stuff are normal. So he moves up like so. He comes up with his ambushers here behind an angle towards my Dryad. Rushes forward with his razor gore, his harpies, and then his whole battle line just moves up forward here. And he's trying to get stuck into it. I think that's the Beastman way. And I think I've set up pretty well here. I've got nice protective flanking units to either redirect, or in this case over here, my Dryads are tough enough that they can handle anything. A little worried about these guys behind me, but that's okay. That's okay. My turn 1. Oh, yes, my turn 1. I get Dwellers off during the magic phase and take out a bunch of his unit. And that's okay. That's a pretty good start. I'm just whittling them down, trying to take them out a little bit. I focus on these guys because they're the ones that are coming at my Glade Guard, and I don't want them to come after my Glade Guard. I got off big units in front of the General's unit. So you can see here, this is after my turn. I've moved everything up. I sent my Glade Guard Scout over here to try to get him to chase after me, which would be great, because then I'd hopefully put him right in front of my Treekin. Then easy charge there. And I just put everything else forward. With the closer unit of Dryads, I've charged the Razor Gore. You can see he's not there. He's over near the edge of the board. And I move everything else up. I'm not too worried because he's got that unit of skirmishers out in front, and they'll block him from doing any crazy charges. On this side, I fly my Eagle up to protect from that Razor Gore, and I move my Glade Guard, my Way Watchers up to be in close range to shoot at his Harpies. You can see here a little bit better what those skirmishers are doing. They're protecting his line, but they're also making sure that I cannot charge him, which I'm okay with. So I keep my Glade Riders and my Eagle back. Not too worried if him charging me, and just line up my 2 tree men together so they're ready for anything. Here's another look at this side over here. You can see his Razor Gore has fled from my Dryads. I'm hoping to get my other unit of Dryads up into his Harpies and go through and around and get towards his casters by the Herdstone. That would be ideal. If not, I'll have them over here to slow up the General's unit. I'll probably lose, but my hope is that I can do some damage, because Dryads are nothing to be laughed at. And again, ideally, if he charges his Glade Guard Scout, I'll just flee, or even better, I'll let him come into me, kill me, and then overrun or something like that, and I'll get a flank charge. So, Beastmen turn 2, having won the roll to go first. They go, you know, they're the first half. The Razor Gore flees off the side, so that's cool. That's one little chunk that's something I don't have to worry about. And then everybody here, these 2 Razor Gores are charging my Way Watchers. The Harpies are charging my Way Watchers, who come up. They fluff all their shots against the Harpies, which is just ridiculous and quite annoying. Seems to be the way it goes. He kills my Eagle, or my Eagle flees or something. I can't really remember what happens there. But anyways, the 2 Razor Gore fail to come into the Way Watchers, and the Way Watchers mass up and go up against these Harpies. You know, we all have 2 attacks. We're going to attack simultaneously, but I just have more of them, so I'm expecting, especially with my higher weapon skill, to be able to take them out. Down here on my right flank, he does not take the bait and charges the flank of my Dryads, which, you know, I think even at the first time I'd hoped that my Glade Guard Scout would be far enough that they could even block the wheel, but was not meant to be. So I'm a little worried about this, but luckily they're strength 3, so it's not the end of the world. His Harpies fly up to get a little bit closer and be out of charge range for my other unit of Dryads. Excuse me. And it looks like this on my right flank. In the middle, he moves his 2 big hordes forward. He brings his skirmishers forward. If you notice, his Razor Gore has a little red token. He's taken a wound. I think that might have been from combat, or maybe it's from shooting. I'm not certain exactly where we're at there. But that's alright. So now my goal here is to hopefully win the combat against the Harpies in the corner, and just go ahead and pick off those things. So combat here goes much better than anticipated. I kill a bunch of him. He kills like 2 of me. Maybe 1 more, I can't remember. Wins, and I flee, get away, which is fantastic. And he just clips this unit of Glade Guard Scouts, which I don't mind, because that I wouldn't be able to really charge him or do anything from this side anyways, because I'm a little too jumbled up. So I get a little lucky here. You know, it's something good to think about is what will happen after the combats, and be set up for all that, which is just something I'm not used to doing. And this is my first tournament, so I'm rushing around a little bit. But all in all, I'm pretty happy here. He has Wissen's Wild Form off, and so his guys are +1 toughness and strength. He only gets 1 of me, but I'm only able to kill 2. He sticks around. I think we tie, or I lose combat by 1, but pass my what's it called? leadership test. And then my turn 2, I get Shield of Thorns off, which kills 2 more of them. So now, and I regrow the one guy. So they're constantly back and forth. This game is kind of funny. So now it's 1 on 8. I'm pretty confident I'll take that. You can see in the background here, my Glade Riders have snuck on through there. So what happened is I charged the fleeing in the back Razor Gore with my eagle. So the Razor Gore fled, having already taken 1 wound, didn't want to get in there. And my Glade Riders reform and go rushing through. So now they can see both Razor Gore and are able to charge the fleeing one my next round if they don't flee, if they don't rally. So that's pretty good. I'm out of charge arc of this horde of gore with the Glade Riders, and everything else is still protecting my Glade guard here on the hill. So, you know, if you can charge my eagle, I'll flee, and then etc., etc. He won't be able to get stuck into me. This is looking from my left flank down, just to kind of give you an idea of what everything looks like. I bring my treemen up. I figure I'll just shoot at the skirmishers rather than charge them and leave anyone out alone. And put my treekin angled so that I'll hopefully be able to wheel and get into the gore in the corner if I need to, and can still see the general's unit. So I'm just kind of ready to go. Mind you, the whole time I have Throne of Vines up, and that's been a great help. I actually have pretty decent magic phases. They're not terrible. The Beastmen keep casting Miasma. He's got a bunch of Miasma and all the little guys, so he's constantly casting Miasma. Usually with movement, occasionally with initiative and weapon skill. So that's making it much tougher for me to combat him, which like one main reason why my Dryads, I wasn't able to kill too many, because he brought me down to weapon skill 1. This is just a direct look, what it looks like on the right flank, and you know, again, fighting to just get in there, and it's hard to make charge with Miasma. I shoot here, kill the unwounded Razor Gore, and I'm starting to feel really confident about this flank. Excuse me. Really, really confident. I've now pretty much mopped up this flank. Sure, I can take care of that last Razor Gore. The Ungor easily beat my Glade Guard scouts in combat, although he doesn't kill anybody. I do 1 wound. It was so few attacks, it was to be expected, but he wins combat. I flee, luckily do not flee off the board. He overruns so that he can get out of charge arc and get closer to all these things. I win with my Way Watchers, lose another one, which I'll regrow eventually, and then reform so that I can move over here in to affect the flank of this big horde of gore. You might notice that the markers have moved at the end of turn 3. All of the markers randomly scatter 3d6. This one in the middle ends up right on top of this core unit, and the other one moves towards the edge of the board near the Way Watchers, and the last one doesn't move at all. So now my goals are to consolidate, take that unit out so I can get closest to that one, and then move over to the left one. I don't know that I'll be able to get closest to this one here on the right flank. This is the one that stays still. I'll have to take out the ambushing unit of gore. So his turn 3, he charges into my Dryads with his general's unit, and I'm thinking, oh, this shouldn't be too bad. I think I kill a few, but he's got great weapons, and his general just kind of goes to town. Just goes to town. But I'm not too scared, because if he overruns, it's long enough, he might not reach my treekin, and I'll be ready to go. He then also flies his Harpies up, which would then block him getting into my treekin. The Ungor, the Gore ambushers reform the bottom here so that they're aimed at all my guys. Smart move there, rather than charging the Glade Guard Scouts off the table and then just setting himself up to be crushed, run into by me. He just organized it so it's on his terms over here. He easily just defeats my Dryads in combat and reforms. And then if you look in the far up here corner, the Razor Gore does not rally, and there he is. You can see a little bit better here. And he has fled all the way to the corner of this board, so what I'll be able to do is charge my Glade Guard Scouts, and he'll flee off the board. So, coming into my turn 3, this is basically the layout of the board. On my turn 3, I shift my Dryads over here, so they're in the woods, welcoming a charge. I'll be stubborn and pretty mean. My tree can slide back a little bit. You notice the tree men have moved, and his general's unit is tucked around the corner. I charge with both my tree men, one being the tree man ancient, and he flees. We debated this one, and you know he probably is right to flee. That's a pretty tough matchup. Really tough matchup, especially when being the general with the. I know I said netlings. I'd be a rerollable 9, stubborn with both of them. Get my BSB over there just to protect them. And anyways, he flees, runs through the 5 skirmishers. They break and panic and flee. So they kind of hopscotch over here, and I don't think that the skirmishers ever rally. Luckily for him, he does not flee any of his level 2s that are sticking out here. So all of a sudden, I'm quite a bit freed up over here on what I can do. Gives me a little bit of breathing room. I've stuck, you can't quite see them, but you can see the corner of the Horde of Gore over here. I've stuck my Eagle out in front just to redirect and charge block him. So this is the Gore, the ambushing Gore from behind. Over the things I've taken out a few. He's just measuring here, but I love the way these models are painted. I love the way his whole army just looks fantastic. Just cool little details like the guy in blue here that's a space filler and adds up just a lot of character. Everything is just dynamite. Anyways, you can see what he's looking at. He decides to hold, I believe. Rather than charge into my stubborn Dryads, he reforms in the middle. You can see he's reformed and moved past the Eagle towards the Glade Guard, and that's why his move. He's trying to get into that bunker unit and get all of those points, but I'm kind of forming up around him, and he's able to rally his general's unit, so they're now turned face back into the middle of things. My turn 4, I move the Dryads over here, so he has to choose one or the other. And I just didn't want the Dryads to be rear charged by the general's units, so that's why I moved them this way. Also, I would have just kept them right in the woods. It was kind of long. I didn't want to get my Treekin out of range, and maybe I should have just charged with the Dryads. I'm not exactly sure why I did not. So his turn 5, he moves his general's unit forward. I've killed the Harpies. That's why I didn't charge the Treekin. I killed the Harpies so they could not get into the Gore. He brings his ambushers up into my Dryads and charges my Eagle with his unit of Gore. I've sent him over here to redirect, and I've got everyone else set up all around him. You can see here's the angle from behind. So if he pursues, he'll run straight past, and then it'll take him a little while to get back, and so I'm not worried about that. His ambushing Gore defeat my Dryads pretty good. I think he got off my asthma, so I was down to weapon skill 1. He rolled fear, so it's weapon skill 1 versus weapon skill 1. Kind of ironic and funny, but it seriously hampered me. Else I think I could have done a lot of damage. He's got Wissons off on this Gore unit in the middle. They're no longer a horde, and they've been whittled down quite good. He easily kills my Eagle though, and reforms to face the Glade Guard. Hoping to get into them next round. So again, this is turn 5. I have to start figuring out what to do to take these guys out. So I've got the 2 objectives blocked up. I'll be able to slide the Way Watchers left and back to be close enough that I can get within 6 of the upper objective. And my Glade Riders just near the middle objective, where they'll be able to move around and shoot and threaten this unit from behind. So, which I do both of those. I then bring my Tree Man Ancient right out in front of his gore. So I got my general, pretty beefy, right out in front. I'm not certain what I cast there to show that it might have been Dwellers. And then I cast Shield of Thorns over here on this unit. So I've got both my Treekin and my Tree Man in this combat here against his general's unit. His general's unit's going to be really tough with great weapons, but I think I can take him. Especially when, although he rolls Primal Fury, he fails his leadership test on the Fear, and so he's weapon skill 1 this first round, which was a lifesaver, I have to admit. Really, really huge. On this side, I might have Dwellers him, I can't remember, but with all the shooting I've got from all sides and the Tree Man, I'm able to seriously whittle down this unit. He passes his rerollable panic check, which is great for him because it's being ETC. We get half points, and we get half points for fleeing units and stuff. So I'm stoked to get that unit down below half. This battle. Maybe this is after the Shield of Thorns, so you can see a little bit more orange in the back, and this is after combat. He did 1 wound on me to 1 Treekin, and I'm able to just pummel him. He's still steadfast on a 10, and he sticks around. So, coming into his turn 6, his 2 base units are in serious, dire straits. And that's how the board looks. He moves his gore ambushers right up next to the objectives. Make sure he can keep that. And he charges into my general's unit with the other unit. He does have his Great Bray Shaman and his BSB, which are both pretty tough and beefy, but it's going to be pretty hard for him to do that. He doesn't have anywhere to run and hide, so I'm going to be able to issue a challenge, and with the no infinite links, he cannot get out of the challenge. So after combat on his turn, I think he did 2 wounds. So I'm down to 4. And I whooped up pretty good on excuse me. I did quite a bit of hurt on this unit, but was not able to kill it. He's steadfast, rerollable 8 or 9, sticks around pretty easily. So he has that 1 rank. And at the end of the game, this is after his turn, and after I've taken all my stuff away, I killed a Great Bray Shaman. I killed most everything else in the unit of gore on my left flank. And I killed his big unit of Bestigors with great weapons entirely. And it's only his general left, so you can see all the Bestigors lined up behind and his Bestigor out in the middle. Pretty solid victory to the Wood Elves and a great way to start the tournament. With the objective bonuses, I am up with 18 points, and it puts me in 4th place, although there's a mix-up, and they only mark me down as 8, and I get seeded against somebody in the middle of the pack. But that's alright, and we'll see that one shortly.